'Twas a moonlit night upon Sodor. A big city engine was sat at Tidmouth waiting for the last passenger train of the day. He'd been given a special job on Sodor to go and run an excursion. However, he felt it more like a prison sentence. He wasn't much big a fan of the island and didn't really relish the idea of being here overnight, especially hearing about all the ghostly tales that, well, we all know and love at this point. He looked over and saw Percy puffing along. "Hello, big city engine. Are you enjoying your stay?"
Well, it's okay, I guess. I must say, though, for Halloween, this is a very pathetic Halloween trip. I was here to pull a, well, special train, and I've seen yet to see a single costume or anybody dressed up. Do you not celebrate on this island, or what?
Percy's face suddenly fell. Well, we do, but we don't really do stories here anymore. Every time we've had a story, something's happened, and, well, we don't really want another event happening this year. However, maybe we could tell you one, if you want to hear it while you wait, I guess.
Oh, Percy. You're too small and fragile to tell me a good ghost story. Honestly, what stories could you possibly know that would make me quiver in my frames? No. A task like this is much more suited to Edward, or perhaps another old teapot.
Oh, tell me a ghost story. That's quite good, that one.
Knock it off, you. That's quite enough out of you.
What either of them hadn't noticed was Toby had been idly sitting in the station.
That's quite enough,
he said sternly as he rolled forward, pulling Henrietta and 3 mineral wagons.
Big City Engine, you shouldn't talk that way to Percy. He knows what he's on about. He's been through enough ghost stories and heard enough. But if you want an experienced person to tell you one, then I better get to it,
he said as steam hissed from his cylinders. Toby, you're not going to tell him that story, are you?
Yes, Percy. I'm going to tell him that story. He thinks he's so big and mighty all because he's a big city engine and we only live on an island. Well, I'm going to show him that not all foreigners who have come to this island will leave. And maybe teach him a lesson or two. If you're still wanting to hear a story, that is. Because if you are, I prepare yourself. Big city engine,
Toby said in a stern voice as he eyed the big engine up and down.
Go on then. I mean, I can't leave for another hour or so, you know, may as well listen. Besides, you'll probably know better stories than this little caterpillar.
Steam hissed from Toby again.
Very well then. If you want to hear the story, I shall tell you. This is the story of Diesel D619. The diesel that came to this railway around, I want to say 30 years ago, and never left. And heed this as a warning as well. It may save your life if you come across his spirit. A long time ago, a diesel came to the island. His original number was D199, but, well, he soon lost the number due to certain accidents. He was very proud of himself because he always pulled the express from Vickerstown to the mainland, and then would hand over to Gordon once he reached there. However, this diesel was very boastful and, well, to be fair, not one of us liked him. He was rude and arrogant, hence his unflattering kind of nicknames. The diesel became rude. He was nothing but boastful and arrogant, as I've already stated. But it got worse around the steam engines, particularly the older models, such as Edward and Porter. He began boasting that he was better than them and that he would outlast them. Before he disappeared, the last thing I was told he said to Edward was he'd see him on the scrap pile in about 900 years. That itself is a pretty hurtful comment, but Edward knew deep down something was to happen. It's a shame that he was right. According to him, the diesel left the yard one day to pull an important passenger train, smugging as he normally did. But he was never seen again afterwards.
So, what happened there? He disappeared. Scary. But I fail how this teaches me a lesson. And I fail to see what it has. I wasn't done yet. Sorry, jeez. It sounded like you were finished. Continue, whatever you are. So rude. Anyways, as I was saying,
according to witness testimony by station staff, signalmen, and those that were in the yard at the time, the shunter, presumably Diesel, as he was the only 08 we had at the time, was busy shunting the train. 3 composite coaches in the white and blue livery, followed by a brake coach of the same livery. He shunted them into the station and was waiting for the engine to couple up so that he could give him a shunt. The train was very heavy, so he knew he needed it. However, according to what we were told, the Diesel refused the head start. He said he didn't need it because he was so modern and, well, he could do it by himself. Diesel tried to argue with him, but he knew it was pointless. So he let the Diesel go on his way. This was where the problems began to emerge. With the sound of his horn, the Diesel began his trip, starting spluttering but eventually moving on. He left the station at incredible speed. As the Diesel left the station, they saw a pink engine with gold side plates and golden assets. It shined in the night. Nobody had seen this engine before, but assumed she was one of the new engines on loan, so no one said anything about it really. However, workmen on the upper levels near the quay heard the Diesel shout something very insulting towards the engine. They don't know what he shouted, but they heard him laughing and they just heard the engine gasp out in shock. They don't know what he said or what he meant. However, the Diesel oiled by, laughing, almost maniacally. And now we know just who the engine, or we have a clue who they were. The trip was going smoothly according to the passengers. The Diesel was making good time. He didn't seem to argue with anything and just pulled very smoothly along the line. The Diesel raced through Crosby at around 12 p.m. from what I've read. And this was the last confirmed sighting of him. According to some of the passengers, as they crossed over the suspension bridge, a strange fog began to emit. The Diesel had to slow down as he passed Edmund Station, but the fog only seemed to get thicker the more he went forward. Per restrictions, the Diesel was only allowed to travel at max 30 miles an hour. However, some of the passengers noticed that they saw a pink gold engine sat in the siding, watching them as they went by. As he began to enter the crest of the hill, the passengers began puffing something decently close to them as well. According to the passengers, 1 minute the Diesel was moving. The next minute, they had a rumbling sound. The puffing began to grow louder and louder, almost as if it was in front of them now. But that couldn't be possible. However, soon, the train came to a halt. They couldn't hear the whirring of the engine, or the puffing of what sounded like the steam engine. There was just nothing. The passengers immediately began to get worried in case they'd broken down, and in this weather, they doubt rescue would come very soon. However, as they sat and waited, they heard the groaning and creaking of an old engine, quite far out in the distance. They thought they could also hear the sounds of panic screaming. They assumed it was someone just panicking in the other coaches. Quite a natural response if you'd ask me, but suddenly, one of the passengers looked out the front and saw the Diesel had gone. The train was sat dangerously in the middle line. The passengers began to worry, and then all of a sudden, in the distance, they heard the sound of screaming. It seemed to be scared and panicked. The passengers began to worry. What was going on? They cried. Suddenly, it went silent. The screaming had stopped. The puffing had stopped. It was blissful silence except the early birds chirping. The passengers were in total shock. However, some say that they saw an engine hiding in the shadows, just up the line near the bridge.
It wasn't till late that morning that they could get the breakdown train out there until the mist had cleared. Arthur and Oliver were the ones in the yard at the time, so they were dispatched immediately. The crew scrambled into the works coach, and they set off for the viaduct.
Halfway through the journey, however, the breakdown train had to be called to Edward's station. Some of the station had apparently been damaged. No one knew why or how, so they decided to split the materials up. Arthur took a train of flatbeds and other things that were needed in case of an accident, and Oliver decided to stay behind with the breakdown train and told Arthur he would catch up. So Arthur set off. However, Arthur was in shock. All of the coaches were on the main line. Not one was derailed, not one was damaged, except the front, who had just lost its coupling. Arthur was in shock, but knew if the coaches were here, then where was the diesel? In order for Arthur to keep looking, Henry was called to take the train back to Knapford and to make sure the passengers were okay. Paramedics were at the station waiting, but as far as they could tell from first glances, everyone was just shook up. What could have possibly happened here? Thought Henry as he puffed away. However, he soon stopped again. He quickly arrived at the site. He saw Arthur staring down into the viaduct, into the water below. As soon as Henry looked down into the pit, his eyes went just empty. Because in that pit was the broken, burnt remains of the diesel. It looked like he was almost split into 3 different sectors. Both bogies were completely ripped off, one going straight through the back of his side. The sight was unbearable. Diesel was dead, no doubt about that. They decided to quickly get him hauled up and taken away as fast as they could. However, many have claimed that once every year, and before you say, no, not on the date of the accident, that line's overused, but every year,
Whenever a horrid foreign engine appears on our island, the engine can be seen again. You'll hear her steam, you'll hear the whistle, and catch a glimpse of the engine puffing slowly down the line, going after its next victim. Better hope it isn't you.
I'm sorry, that's it. Really, that's the story? That's the moral? You're telling me I just listened to a whole horde of crap about some magic engine? Please. Everyone on this island is going senile, even you. Especially this one. But it was entertaining, I guess. And now my train is ready to go. So thanks for the story. But I definitely won't be hiring you two again to tell me a bedtime story. Good night, gentlemen. Oh, why do I even bother? Ugh, never mind. Come along, Percy. We must be getting to our sheds now. Just gotta dump this off at the yard and then we can go. Good luck tonight, big city engine. I wouldn't be surprised if you're the next one she takes.
If you see her, Percy said slightly before as he began to steam up. They say there's a way to avoid her. They say that if you are remorseful, she may spare you. Maybe. And if that doesn't work, just run. Because maybe you can outrun her. If she does not outrun you first. Good luck tonight, big city engine. I hope to see you again, Percy said as he puffed away.
After the two engines had left, the engine looked around and saw nothing. The platform was empty, and his train was ready to go. He just looked down at his buffers, and then straight ahead. I don't believe in ghosts, but I better heed that as a warning. I mean, how else could that engine have gone off the rails into the viaduct? Ugh, what am I saying? He's going all in the boiler. Let's just go.
The steam hissed from his boiler, and the sound of his whistle went out. He set off. I don't know about you, but if I were him, I would heed the advice of the ghosts of Sodor. Don't you?